Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is out, and it's not looking good for the prices of not only the sealed product but also the single cards. Is this worth buying? There's a question I always get asked since the release of this set because it has surprised a ton of people, including myself. So let's find out. Alright guys, Scarlet and Violet is here, and you know, it is fun to open. I must say this set is fun to open. People have been saying that the pull rates are too good, and that's what's ruining this set. That's not what's making it fun. There's no chase cards. Well, I will tell you right now, this set is better, in my opinion, than Sword and Shield base. However, on TCG Player, we've been seeing trends of the cards and also the booster boxes kind of fluctuating. However, the cards though, yeah, they've been falling pretty bad. And I mean really bad. This is normally something that happens when sets first come out. We see it usually across the board with pretty much every single set for the first few months when you start getting the initial wave, cracking packs, and more of those single cards are hitting the market. We see it time and time again, the card prices drop. There have been some outliers out there, things like the Giratina from Lost Origin, which went up. We had the Machamp from Astral Radiance that went up, the Aerodactyl as well from Lost Origin that went up. Right, and even the Giratina Gold V-Star from Crown Zenith actually went up. So there have been some unusual cards that have gone up and have beaten the trend, but usually as a rule they tend to drop before they go back up over time. Well, Scarlet and Violet, yeah, things have dropped pretty crazy. So we'll be taking a look at TCG Player, at the single cards and the sealed product, going through what's going on and what you guys should be doing. So Scarlet and Violet booster boxes, let's take a look at this. So they're now going for around $122. So don't forget, MSRP has gone up, guys. It went up a little bit. The booster boxes naturally are now going to be a little bit more expensive. Over here in the UK, we've been seeing it going for around 115, 120. Quite interesting. Usually goes for around 100 to 105 in the Sword and Shield era for new booster boxes, unless they're like super hyped, then they were a little bit more expensive. So it has gone up, right? And this did come out at around $130, and then it did take a little bit of a dip to around 120. Then it went back up to 130, and that's taken a little bit of dip again. Now, I've been told from UK retailers that first wave was small, second wave is going to be a lot bigger. It'll be interesting, will it impact the prices of the booster boxes? I don't see this going to $100, mainly because of MSRP. My local game store, they've already said to me that they're kind of stuck on holding stock, right? They have stock, costing them a bit too much, and they're not making as much money. They're not making as much money on selling these booster boxes. So if those prices were to drop even more, they're not going to make probably little to no money, if not losing money, and they don't want that to be the case. So it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to go moving forward, but I do feel like it's going to hold out for a little bit longer. It'd be interesting. It is a base set, don't forget, guys, and we saw a Sword and Shield base set that is nearly a $300 booster box, so this does have the potential, of course, of reaching that height down the line, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. We'll have to wait and see, but right now we're probably looking at around $120 to $130 a box, which is about right, like I say, over here in the UK, between 115 and 120. Now we're going to take a look at the top 10 most expensive cards in the set, and we're going to see where they are. Now, I did a video recently before the set came out. Make sure to go and check that out and compare the two of the most expensive cards pre-order. And I did say a lot of them will change, and they really have. So we have Nespal coming in. So this is one of the hyper rare gold cards coming in at around $18. Now, it did drop a little bit. It wasn't the most expensive card already at $25. We're looking at around about $18.50 right now. It did bounce back a little bit. Now, it's interesting because these triple gold star, these hyper rares, I mean, a lot of people said they're not that difficult to open. Personally, I've opened up the gold Maridon EX in one of my boxes, which was awesome. So these aren't necessarily that difficult, as it were. People said the pull rates have improved. Is that going to impact single card prices? Absolutely. So we're going to have to wait and see. But this did drop, and it's on a little bit of an uptick. It's coming at number 10. Now, apparently this is a playable card. This might have, a decent impact on the prices moving forward. However, once it's no longer in play or anything like that, then it will drop. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes moving forward, but that's not that expensive at around $18.50, and we'll see that with a trend of this set. Coming in with the Arcanine next. So I did actually pull this from my first booster box, and this actually has bounced back. So this is around $18. I love this card, I really do. This and the Gyarados, really nice. So this did come out at around $19, then it dropped to $15, and then it went back up close to where it started, really, at around $18. And again, a lot of these cards, some of these are apparently not the easiest to pull. This and the Gyarados are the same type. Now, I did get the Arcanine, haven't yet got the Gyarados, but it's still really cool. I think we did pull the Gyarados maybe in a stream. This is still a really cool card. Not the easiest to pull. And the pull rates are interesting always. We keep talking about pull rates. If we're talking about prices, they kind of go hand in hand with each other. Pull rates of the set aren't necessarily that easy. They're really not. Some other sets are kind of on that same level as pull rate. Crown Zenith is very similar as an example. So it's interesting to see how these card prices will perform over the coming months. especially if the second wave is going to be bigger. So, you know, $18 for number 9. Yeah, not too bad. Now, this one is very surprising. We have the Rolls. This is just the normal illustration rare. Let's take a look at this. It's actually gone up after release, so this is going to be an interesting one. So it came in at $15. Then it did drop to as low as 8.5, so it dropped by basically 50%. And then bang, nearly $20. So this went from $8.50 to nearly $20. I mean, that's gone up by over 100%, 150%. That is pretty good going. Maybe 140, 150%. This has gone up. Very, very good. So interesting to see how things are going regarding this. You know, it is just a normal illustration rare. It's nothing too fancy. It's not the most difficult card to pull. That's going to be interesting. This could be interesting. Now, you have the Rolts, you have the Carly, and you have the Gardevoir. Gardevoir is in this list. We'll get to in a bit. But this clearly must be a pebble card. I'm not too sure. Don't play the TCG. For this to jump up that high, very, very impressive just for a normal illustration rare. Speaking of the Golden Rhydon, which I did pull, this card is a beautiful card coming in. Another hyper rare, another gold card. I think the gold cards look better. They actually look better in my opinion than in the Sword and Shield. They may look the same, but when you have it in front of you, they do look and feel different. So this is $20. So it has dropped from its release at around 32. It has gone to 20. I do expect it to drop even more. Like I was saying with the Nest Ball, these gold cards, these hyper rares, I don't think they're that difficult in comparison to some of the SARs, special art rares. These are still really nice, but I don't see them holding up their value. I think they will drop, especially when the second wave comes. You know, gold cards in still didn't really hold much value. They didn't. They were kind of like, you're sitting around on average between $10 to maybe $20 mark most of the time. And I kind of feel like this may be the same moving forward. Who knows? They might eventually phase out these gold cards like they did with rainbows. But we have to wait and see. Okay, next we have the Gyarados. We already looked at the Arcanine. This one is more expensive. And like the Arcanine, this has gone up. It's probably because this is actually not that easy to pull. So it came out at around $27. It did go to as low as 21, and now it's back up to 25, 26. It has bounced back, similar to the Arcanine. Both of them stunning cards. I actually think these are probably tougher to pull because there's only 2 of them. I think these are tougher to pull than the hyper rare gold cards. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these will perform. I think these might actually continue to climb moving forward. These are way better versions of Radiance that we saw in the most recent sets. I do feel like this is just a great way of, you know, showcasing these terrestrialized cards, and I hope we see more in like Paldea Evolved in future sets, which I kind of feel like we will. But these are 2 great ones, the Arcanine and the Gyarados coming in. Really, really interesting that it has bounced back. Speaking of the opposite, we have the Miriam. This hasn't bounced back, this has dropped. This is a very big chase card, one of 2. Let's take a look. So this came out $61 and it is now $30, so it's dropped by 50%. Now, we know that female trainers hold very high value in Japan, and they hold a little bit higher value over here in English. However, they have dropped, and this has dropped 50%. Hype isn't real. Some people have been pulling this quite frequently. They're like, actually, you know what? This isn't that difficult. Trainers as a whole don't hold incredible value, unless it was a Marnie or a Cynthia, something along those lines, which kind of hold extra value. And I do feel like Miriam's going to be another one. Obviously, there's going to be more waifu cards coming in future sets. I kind of feel like these full art trainers, I don't mind them being, you know, kind of pricey, but I don't want them to be the top cards of the set. I kind of feel like that should be for Pokemon. But we'll have to wait and see how this one will perform. I do think it will continue to drop before bouncing back up over time, but we'll have to wait and see based on the amount of pulls that comes in the future. Next up, we have the Koraidon EX. This is like the alt art, special art rare. I call them alt arts. I really like this card. I really like the design of it. It has dropped, you know, very similar to the Miriam. In fact, it's dropped even more. $95. Oof, down to $37. This thing has crashed hard. I love the artwork. However, this isn't performing very well. I do say sets usually do well if they have a bunch of cards over $30. And this set has quite a few. And I also say sets are really good if they have a bunch of cards. The $50+ or even $100. You know, some sets have 1 or 2 cards that are sitting around $100 or more, and they tend to be pretty decent sets. We'll see when we get to the end of this list. However, you know, we're coming in at, this is now the 4th most expensive card in the set, $36, falling from 90 to 95. That is huge, big game changer. So we're gonna have to wait and see moving forward how this card will perform. I do expect it to continue to drop. However, it might bounce back. Will all depend. All really does depend on the pull rates and when this product gets opened, but at the moment it is dropping. Okay, we mentioned the Gardevoir earlier when we talked about the Rolts. Well, here we have the Gardevoir, 3rd most expensive card again, $120 down to as low as $47. This is serious. This is serious. You know, 3rd most expensive card, shy of $50, dropping from where it once was. This is not the greatest. This at the moment is performing worse than the most recent sets that came out. You know, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Crown Zenith, even Astral Radiance. You know, is looking like it has some stronger cards. Brilliant Stars as well. I mean, Brilliant Stars has two big cards, two big Charizards, and then kind of all the rest are around this price point or less, right? The Arceus. So it's interesting to see how things go. However, $46, third most expensive card in the set, has dropped a tremendous amount. Will it ever get back up to that high? It's got a long task and road ahead of it, but I do feel like this will probably settle at around $40 for the longest time. But we'll have to wait and see, you know, moving forward. We have pulled it actually, but it is a really cool card. But we'll have to wait and see how well it'll turn out. All right, coming in number 2, we have the Miraidon EX. This is an awesome card, love it. One of my, actually my favorite, I would say, just because it's got the good old dash bun in it. We're looking at, okay, this is, again, scary. So it was around 80, and they were like, wow, this is actually going to be a big card in the set, 130. And then they're like, oh, actually, it's quite easy to get. Well, somewhat easy to get. And it's dropped from 130 to 60. Oof. Big oof. It's nearly it's like under half, you know, under half the value of this card to begin with. This is insane. We saw it with the Gardevoir. This has dropped, you know, basically the same, you know, same amount type thing. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is the second most expensive card. I mean, $60 is still quite pricey. Let's not take it away from that. You know, there isn't many sets that have a card that's second most expensive at $60. You know, Silver Tempest doesn't. Astral Radiance doesn't. I mean, you take a look at Brilliant Stars, the Rainbow Charizard has been dropping in price, and that's heading, you know, that's not that much more than $60 anyway. It's like 70, 75. So, you know, we're looking at going to some other sets, which is actually quite interesting. If you go back to older sets in the Sword and Shield era, $60 for the second most expensive card is really good, actually. Actually pretty decent. So, it's interesting to compare it to other sets. I do feel like this will continue to drop similar to the others. It's interesting, this is quite a bit more expensive than the Koraidon. So yeah, I love it. I think it's a really nice card. Haven't pulled it yet. I really want it in my collection. But yeah, really cool card. $60 though. I think this will probably be the most expensive card in the set moving forward. Have to wait and see. And then finally, of course, we have the Miriam. Now, I will say this has dropped like crazy. This was $250 on the pre-orders. Now we are looking at about $75. Oh dear. I do expect this to drop even further. Okay, I do expect this to drop. It has stayed around that 75 to 80 for a while now, but I do expect it to drop even more. I do think Miraidon will overtake it. We'll have to wait and see. Now, obviously in Japan, this is ridiculously expensive just because like the waifu tax, they always add on to those female trainer cards. However, over here, it's not the same. It really isn't the same. The desire for these trainer cards is not there. I still feel like a Pokemon should be the most expensive card in the set and not a trainer. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case, but I do feel like this will continue to drop. I do, and I do think that Miraidon will overtake it. We have to wait and see. We've seen it before. Silver Tempest, Serena came out very strong, and it did drop quite a bit. I mean, it's still holding decent value, you know, around $40 or so, but it's not as high as the Miriam. I don't see Miriam holding as much as it is right now, but man, that is a fall from grace if we're looking at $265.75. I mean, if you bought this at a pre-order price, it goes to show, don't buy it at pre-order prices. So yeah, big cards. You know, if you compare it to the most recent sets, you know, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, you know, no cards here over $100. They were, but now they've dropped quite a bit. Interesting to see what's going to happen. But yeah, you know, big cards, but I think it'll be toppled by Miraidon. There you have it, guys. That's what's been going on with Scarlet and Violet. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Do you think this set's worth it? I know I've seen some of your comments, guys, and you've been saying, you know, Jace, this set's trash. You know, this isn't as good as, you know, Crown Zenith. All right, we're coming off of quite possibly one of the best modern era Pokemon sets in Crown Zenith, from incredible pull rates, incredible artwork, and just overall fun of the set. However, this is just a base set. We compare this to other base sets, Sun and Moon base, Sword and Shield base, anything like that. This does trump them quite easily. You know, really does. So we're gonna have to wait and see how things go with Scarlet and Violet base. I do feel like the cards will continue to drop with the second wave coming out. Booster boxes will probably stay around 120, 125, and over here in the UK, you could probably get them. You know, you might see them go to as low as 110. But we'll have to wait and see how things are going to go. So let me know, guys, down in the comments what your thoughts, of course, with Scarlet and Violet. And if you made this far into the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button and make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon content. But if you don't want to pick up some Scarlet and Violet and you want to know what the best things to pick up right now are, then make sure to click on this video right here. If you watch more Pokemon content, of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright, guys, that's it from me in this video. As always, you guys are the legends, and I'll see you all in the next one.